Today we're taking a look at Unit 4, Target 31. So it has three things that it wants us to understand. It wants us to understand the dependent variable, the independent variable, and how to write an equation. So those three things are what we are looking at. Now we've had bits and pieces of this before, so this should be kind of like a final act for all of them. So there are three examples that we're going to practice with, and then there's practice problems that I'd like you to try. So example 1 says, Marcus reads for 30 minutes each night. He wants to determine the total number of minutes he will read over the course of a month. So he wrote the equation T equals 30 times D to represent the total amount of time he has spent reading, where T represents the total number of minutes read, and D represents the number of days that he read during the month. So it wants us to determine which variable is independent and which is dependent, and then create our table. And they have given us the equation right here. So there's a couple of things that I need you to understand. Usually we put the independent variable in this column and the dependent variable on this column. Now, independent and dependent are just what they sound like. The independent variable happens no matter what. The dependent variable actually depends on what is going on with the independent. Sorry. So we have two variables. We have T for time reading, and we have D for number of days. So if we think about that, so what variable is dependent? Which one is going to happen no matter what? Or you can think of it as which one depends on the other one. So in this case, days would be the independent variable. So we could put days in our independent column and D for days. And T for time or minutes read, and we're going to call it T, is the dependent. So down here, we could also put that. We could put our D is independent for days, and T for minutes read is our dependent. Now, that it would, and again, they've already given us. So the other thing, a little hint, is we usually set up an equation so that the dependent variable equals stuff you're doing to the independent variable. And that played out here too. Time was the dependent variable. So we understand in the first 7 days, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because those days occur no matter what. But the minutes he read does vary. So in one day, Marcus would read 30 because 1 times 30, 2 times 30, 3 times 30, 4 times 30, 5, 6, and 7 times 30. So hit pause and make sure that all of that makes sense. But again, I will keep going. So our second example says Kira designs websites. She can create 3 different websites each week. Kira wants to create an equation that will give her the total number of websites she can design given the number of weeks she works. So they want us to determine the independent and dependent variables, create a table to show the number of websites she can design over the first 5 weeks, and then write an equation to represent the number of websites she can design. So first we want to create our variables. So before I put them where they belong, I think it's easier if we think about what they are. So I'm going to use, because weeks and websites both start with a W. So we're going to use S for a number of websites. That way they're both not W. And W for the number of weeks. So now we want to think about what is independent. So are weeks going to change depend on if she makes more or less websites? No. So we would say that W for weeks would be our independent. So we will put W in the independent column. So that means S for websites, and we can use a capital S for the sites, is our dependent. So it wants us to create a table to show for the first 5 weeks. So I can put my first 5 weeks. Now we want to go back and see what our equation is. So she can create 3 different websites for each week. So we know 3, and each means to multiply, and we have a variable. So we know our dependent variable S equals 3 times W. So now in 1 week, we know she will be able to make 3 sites, and in 2, 6, 3, 9, 4, 12, and in 5 weeks, she will be able to create 15 websites. So again, hit pause and make sure you understand everything there. But again, I will go on with our third and final example. So Priya streams movies through a company that charges her a $5 monthly fee plus $1.50 per movie. Determine again the independent and dependent variables. Write a equation to model the situation, and then create a table to show the total cost per month that she might stream between 4 and 10 movies in a month. So again, I like to think of my variables. So when I look at it, it says cost per month, and the amount of movies. So I can use cost, C for cost, and M for movie or movies. So now I have to decide, does the amount of movies depend on the cost, or does the cost depend on the movies? So think about that for a second. Hit pause if you need to. If you're wrong on your guess, who cares? Cross it out. You don't even need to erase it. So, but I'm going to keep going. So the independent variable is M for movies, because the cost depends on how many movies she streams. So that means I can put M in the independent column and C in the cost. Now, before we can fill out our table, well, I do know that she wants to stream between 4 and 10. So that would be 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 movies. So I know that cost is our dependent. So I'm going to start with cost and figure out what it equals. So if I go up here, I know we have a $5 monthly fee. So I'll put that 5 plus, and so I know my addition sign, and I've got $1.50, so I'll put $1.50 in there. Per is another word for each, which means multiply. So I'm just going to put $1.50 times M. So now that I know that, I can substitute in my movies. So if she streamed 5 movies, that would be $1.50 plus $1.50 is 3. So $4.50s would be 6. And one extra $1.50 would be $7.50. But I can't put that yet because I need to add the 5 to it. So $8.50, $9.50, $10.50, $11.50, $12.50. So I don't have to go through all of that again because this is just one more movie. So I actually know it's going to be $1.50 more. So $12.50 plus $1 is $13.50, and 50 cents more makes 14. So this would be $15.50 and 17 and 18.50. So again, actually you can just let the movie stop or the video stop and you can copy that down. But above all, make sure that you understand it. So you try all of the exercises and we will go over any questions that you have. Talk with you guys later. Have a great day.